My lords and my ladies, a hypsomatic version of the life of one of the greatest men of all times. And he called his cat the mighty Einie, sphere gasser. Now here was a cat who carried so much wiggage, he was gigless. He could not find a wheel to turn. He sounded all the hubcaps within reach, but Nathan shaken. He could not connect. Hungry, his threads thin, it was a drag. Baldy's nowhere, cat's not picking up. And that coming right after a big bug-sized bring down from the Nazis put on him. You see, this cat was born at Ulm in Germany on March 14th, 1879. Now, not digging their lick, you see, of these double square kicks these cats are putting down. He saved his beans, and bind after bind, finally, he swung with a Swiss passport, swooped the scene, and lit in the land of the cool to prove and groove with the Alpine heads. So now he's made it. It's a drag and no gig. Well, he messed around a little bit looking to pick up on a job here and there and so on and so forth, and he finally got on a light boot repair kick. That's the only thing this cat could get to do. It was so light that he was about to dig some boot soup when a buddy cat hipped him that needed to buy a burn in the idea factory. So the Einie took off to sound the man for the gig. Now, it took him 14 hours to convince this cat that he could tell a good idea from a bad one, you see what I mean. And he still would have missed if the cat hadn't heard that he was suffering from the gold shots in front, so he really dug the gig on a pity kick. He was such a sweet, groovy cat, earth angel, you see what I mean, that this short green kick cooled his living strain. Now ready, really ready, he looked around and finally zeroed in on a real fly chick. Made the legal move with her, rang the chapel bells of joy, and swung out of this beauty spin, came two little Mars heads, a boy and a girl, you see. His pad now jumped with the sweet swinging light of life. He delegated his routine job duties to the third frame of his subconscious mind and proceeded to lay back into the longest goof in the history of that far-out wig stretch. He became the king of all spaceheads. He goofed through the zonosphere and the voutosphere and the routosphere and the hipposphere and the flipposphere and the zipposphere and the gonosphere and the way gonosphere. He was way on out there. And as a matter of fact, he was gone so long and was so far out that when he returned and cooled and dug what he brought back with him, he flipped. Shook the poor cat so bad he couldn't leave his pad for 2 weeks. Dig that scene. And sat in the sack every lick at a time. It was not only too much for him, it was too much for the sphere. This we will dig later. Well, being a tough cat in front, he was soon on his feet. He sucked up a little juice, you see what I mean, took his pen in hand and got it down on paper. Now, this here paper that I'm going to hip you about caused Max Born, a top-flight physicist cat, sometime later to state the greatest gasser of all spearhead book kicks is, let me hip you, volume 17, series 4, yearbook of physics, 1900 and jump in 5. When this book hit the streets, it hit the spacehead cats hard. No cat mentioned it for 4 years, and no cat moved for 5 years more. Here and there, a cat would dig a single hole, but it was so far out he couldn't dig anyone in his cat circle to cut it up with, so the cat would be hung, dig? Finally, this great lick started to spark the spacehead grapevine, and all the space cats were tuning in. One cat said, yeah, I shoveled 222 times, come out the same every time. Seemed like me, like the lick your soul. Other cat said, I'm with you. Where do we go to surrender? The grapevine blew so hard they pressed a better gig on the Einie, a top hubcap and summit head of the University of Zurich. A real cool cat, Freddie Adler, stepped aside to make it possible with this remark. He say, if we can pick up this here king of spaceheads, the great Einie, let's make the scene at once. Let this great cat take the chair, I'll make the stool. You see what I mean? He was a real hip cat. Now, you see what I mean? What caused all this furor was the fact that the hip Einie wailed it down in the Spacehead Cat's paper. He said, in the Spacehead Cat's paper, he said, the scientific journal heads, he said, you go on out to latitude 777 and longitude 444 and get out there at the unveiling of the big heater, and they say you put some necklaces around that ship and hold it real cool, anchors around like necklaces, see what I mean, and hold it real cool and get out every brownie and camera that you can grab you and lay your hands upon, and they say at the unveiling of the heater, start snapping all them pictures, and they say if you snap it all the way through till the finale of that unveiling and switch it downstairs and put it into treatment, he say you're going to find on one of them pictures in a far-out, crazy, gone, uncouth-headed canyon in a way-out valley, the great Mother Cosmo Head. That's what he printed in the paper. That's what flipped everybody. Everybody flipping all over the place. Cats, I can say, couldn't be so, couldn't be this, couldn't be that. Finally, 2 English space heads picked up on him. I said, yes, man, they said, what you think about that hip Einie? He said, well, I believe the cat's with it all the way. He looked like he got it down here pretty groovy. He looked like he got the legs straightened up to date. He say, let's you and me make a little history here. We'll tote this here news into the treasure cat and sound him for a little expedition money and put the scene down and make a little history. Cat said, that's right. So they stomped in to see the treasure cat. Said, what you say, Mr. T? Say, it's cool in here. It's cool, nice and cool in the vault. Said, yeah, it is pretty groovy. Said, what's on your mind, boys? He said, well, you ever hear about a cat called the hip Einie? He said, oh, the hip Einie. I said, no, I never hear that cat. He said, what's a cat blow? He said, well, he's a scientific spacehead cat, you see what I mean? And he blew a little item in the Spacehead Journal would say that if we go out to latitude 777 and longitude 444 and we put necklaces around the boat with the anchors, you know, and anchor real cool and crazy and get out all them brownie cameras, to say, and we start snapping, the unveiling of the heater, he done say that in a far out corner, in an uncouth-headed canyon, away up there in the vance will lay the great swinging Mother Cosmo Head. The cat said, that's good for the war. He said, that's what I say. That's why we're here, you know what I mean? We figured you dig the lick. He said, of course, that's good for the war. He said, all right, I'm glad you boys come over. He say, what's this little gig gonna cost? Like expense like? Spacehead cat say, oh, it ain't gonna cost nothing, like some little old 2 million clams. Man, what do you mean stomping in here like a madman, jumping up and down, talking clean out of your skull? Tiredest things is about 2 million clams. Is you crazy? Some cats sit down and dream up a big score that something. Did the cat see it? He said, no. He said, well, that's what I'm trying to explain. You get talking completely crazy out of your mind. I said, what's the cat's real name? He said, Albert Einstein. He said, just what I thought. Some far-out Levantine cat going to get you way out on a long, thin limb and snap it off. But you see what happened, the spacehead and the hip Einie's lick was too strong for Mr. T. So Mr. T come up with the 2 million clams. So here they swing on out here. They get out to latitude 777 and longitude 444, and they got the expedition all tight and all cool, and they put the anchors around the boat like a necklace, see what I mean? Hold it real cool and steady, and boom, here come the unveiling of the big heater. And these cats are snapping pictures of this all over the place. They're snapping it through the legs. They're snapping it upside down. They're snapping it this way. They're snapping it that way. They're snapping it, they're double snapping it. They're snapping it everywhere it is. They snap it. You see it right? It was over. Downstairs they go to develop these negatives, see what I mean, and see where the picture was. So they got 4,424 pictures, and they come down to the cat said, you see it yet? I said, no, I ain't seen it yet, but it sure got some crazy jazz. They picked up on some wild pictures, pretty wild pictures. And they go to 2,227, you see it yet? I said, no, I didn't dig it yet. No, I hadn't seen it, but I know it's here someplace. I said, that's what I believe too. And get to 3,227 pictures. I said, man, it's a long time coming. But they say, yeah, I know that, but just show some crazy shots. Let's keep going. So they get to 4,109. You see what I mean? When the cat said, they said, well, looked like the hip Einie put us on a bad riff here. Say, maybe the cat, you know, made a little miscalculation. He said, well, we're gone this far, might as well go to rest. And on the last picture that done developed in a great big crazy far out corner in an uncouth-headed chasm was the longest neon tube these cats ever dug in their life. The great Cosmo-headed swinger. And that's how it jumped. But like the hip on it say, let's play it cool and let's play it sweet and let's keep thinking right and we're going to be with it a long time.